Welcome back, fans. I'm excited about this episode that we have here. As we stated earlier, this is our Mississippi Alabama week, and we have another great guest on. And I'm excited to get started with this interview. But as always, I just want to make sure I say thank you for your continued support of the great content that we're producing. Please please subscribe, and please share because it makes a big difference on what we're trying to do. Of course, in the Mississippi Alabama game will be this upcoming weekend. We will travel to Alabama, Mobile, if I'm not mistaken, where we will prayerfully come home with the victory. But as we kind of started something new last year in our state, and I'm excited that the Mississippi Association of Coaches really reached out to our guest today. And as he did last year, if you didn't know, he will be lacing our coaches, our administrators, our players with some fly gear. And that's just an amazing thing for them to reach out to my guest today, just being amazing with that, especially being an African-American male in a predominantly, our state is predominantly white, but also in a predominantly white organization, and reaching out to coach is really a major thing. As always, I like to start off saying something good about our guests. And like I said last episode with Coach Brown, sometimes I feel like I say too much about the gift and I take a little bit of that shine. But I just always want to recognize these individuals who come out and just make a big difference for it. And Coach is an amazing guy. One thing you're going to know about Coach is, and even in this segment right here, Coach has a busy schedule, but he found time to be able to fit me into his schedule. So that's one thing you're going to learn about Coach, is that he's a caring person. And he's going to do all he can to make sure he gets things right. Of course, this was my first year at Richland High School. I reached out to Coach. Of course, he has multiple things that he's doing, and we're going to share those things. But he laced our team, our girls and boys team, actually, with warm-up gear. And it was a great thing because we stood out different, and not different in a bad way, but different in a good way, because as the kids say, we had that drip that nobody else had. Uh, I know my kids gonna kill me for using that drip word, but hey, man, it's what it was. It's what it was and what it is. And so we were excited about that. And the second thing about it is just the work ethic. You're gonna listen to this interview. You're gonna, wow, like, how does this man keep on doing? He must got a twin, because he's working, he's moving, he's establishing himself. So I'm grateful to have him on. Coach, welcome to the show.
Man, Coach, I really appreciate the kind words, man.
So,
Man, I really love the support. The support is unlimited in that area.
yes, sir.
Everybody know about that Jackson area, but you drive a little bit further down, you can go to Richland High School and see some of the realest coaches, some of the best coaches, some of the most vocal coaches, and most important, some of the realest are how y'all treat your kids. You treat your kids something bigger than basketball. It's all about life. And when I seen that this summer, I got attached. I got super attached, and I want to thank my guy, Coach Boyd over there at Forest for connecting the dots, and Coach Sanders and Coach Strong, man, y'all give it to them straight, and that's why those kids are successful on and off the court.
Man, I appreciate that, man. And you said something big right there. It's all about making connections and building relationships with people and being the best version of yourselves, because you just never know who's going to just share your information, share your name, things of that nature. So, Coach, I appreciate that. Coach, again, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your journey. Of course, you're on here almost for 3, 4 different reasons, Coach. So, however you kind of base your journey, man, we here to listen, man, and we're excited. So, Coach Shane Butler, go ahead and talk to us a little bit.
Yeah, man. Shane Butler. I just recently turned 30 back in October this past year. I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. Due to some family issues, my mom made the best decision that she could have made for the family and moved us down to Tupelo, Mississippi. So I did my grade school, my middle school, and graduated high school at Tupelo High School back in 2011. After that, signed a basketball scholarship to go to Blue Mountain University uh, in Blue Mountain, Mississippi, to where I played all 4 years there. I didn't do too bad at school. I became the all-time leading assist leader. I became the all-time school leader in points. Still hold those records to this day. Became the first school All-American. Had the opportunity to play professional ball, either in the D League at the time. Now it's called the G League, and then overseas. Signed with an agent, went through the process, decided that I had a bigger purpose to try to help the kids out, something bigger than that. So I decided to go coach. I was coaching in a school called Shorter University up in Rome, Georgia. I was 24 years old at the time. It was a great deal for myself. to where they can pay for my master's, like a GA spot, but also I can get paid off the court as well. So it kind of helped me by getting my education to up my education with that master's, but also to get things rolling on the coaching side at a young age. Once I did that, man, things just started rolling. Throughout that coaching process, I had a JV guy, I had a JV guy on that team on the college team named Trey Bonner. And Trey Bonner gave me some ideas about, coach, why don't you just open your own business? It's like, doing what? It's like, man, just train, man. Coach, you train every weekend. You train kids from Atlanta. You train kids from Rome. You train kids from all over the state of Georgia. You can just open up your own place. So that's exactly what I did. Pretty much my last project in school was to come up with your own business. So what I did was just came up with a business called it SB Fitness, and kind of ran with it. I stopped coaching overnight. I told the head coach, like, man, I love the opportunity, but I love to do something of my own. And it's showed me so much since then. So pretty much started in Mississippi and kind of just venture off into states after that.
Man, coach, that's amazing, man. I know you still balled on the weekend. I kind of saw some of you posting balling throughout the summer, but man, I didn't know you was doing it like that in Blue Mountain, man. Coach, that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing, man. Blue Mountain is a small little college, man. That's very powerful, man. To have some athletes that come through there. I know a guy a couple of years ago from the Ridgeland area played for them. I just kind of kept up with him indirectly with that. But that's amazing, man, to be able to hold that all-time record and it's still up there. And again, kind of like what I said in the beginning of the show, Coach, you said you lead them in assists, right?
To this day, man, in assists. And to be honest, I had no idea until after I graduated because, coach, I wasn't passing that thing. I was passing off of triple teams. That was it. If it was double team, it was still going up.
Yeah, and so, but again, Coach, that just tells a lot about just who you are, just being that kind of person who's looking out for your teammates. And I tell my kids
Most
all the
definitely.
time, basketball is a replication of who you are in real life, in my personal opinion, in the classroom. So just being a giver out on the court makes a big difference with that. So that's amazing. Coach, talk to us a little bit about. I think I'm gonna deviate a little bit from my questions that I had, Coach. Let me just say the script, Coach, because I don't want to miss anything. So give us a little bit of insight to your brand, how it got started. I know you kind of told us in
Mhm.
general, but kind of talk about the foundational work that you have with it. Tell us where you see it going, where you see it growing, and just talk us a little bit about your SB Fitness.
Oh yeah, man. I didn't try to dive in too deep in the intro because I want to make sure I shine light on the reason why I started the business.
Yes,
So
sir.
the last project, like I mentioned in my master's program, was to come up with your own business. So I came up with the own business program because of, like I said, my old player trade. Uh, and then after that, we have to actually make it true. So to be honest, coach, I was contemplating: should I come up with the business? Should I don't? Should I come up with the business? Should I do it? So what happened? I had a very tragic incident with my family member, my brother, Timothy Butler. He was in a gang, and something gang related happened back in Tupelo, Mississippi, to where he was shot and killed right there in his head. So that kind of showed me that you can't wait till tomorrow. You can't wait till
Mm,
tomorrow. If you got an idea, go
mm,
get it. If you got any type of doubt, go get it right now. And man, that next day when I got that phone call, I'm driving back to Tupelo, I'm crying on the way back. And the whole thing, I was thinking about two things. I was thinking about my brother and I was thinking about my business. And that's what
mm.
happened. So I pretty much when I came back from that funeral, and I came back to Georgia and told coach I was done with the coaching, it wasn't nothing about him. It was more about towards my brother and kind of just
Mm.
pursuing that dream. Yeah.
Oh man, that's powerful, Coach.
So and that's how SB started. Pretty much, the hardest part of the whole brand was coming up with the name
Mhm.
because I didn't know what to come up with. I wanted to call it something to where people can kind of stick to it. And then
Yeah.
again, Trey just said, "Man, look, coach, if you're gonna bank on anybody, bank on yourself." So that's
Mm.
why I ended up calling it SB Fitness, which is kind of Shane Butler Fitness, or the way that Shane Butler looks at fitness. I think, coach, you getting up and grinding is fitness. I think you taking your kids to school is fitness. I think the cafeteria lady or the janitor getting up and going to work is grinding as fitness. So it's the way that Shane Butler looks at fitness, which is everything.
Mm. That's very creative, man. And you know it, that what you name something is very important. And that's one thing, especially when you're a father and you have an opportunity to name your kids, whatever you put your name on, that's gonna last a long time. And I can definitely understand where you want to go to make sure you have it right because I was like you, I kind of went back and forth with the name of this podcast, and because you want something that's going to stand out. And from time to time, I listen to a lot of different podcasts, and I was just listening to their titles. And when I looked at it, like one podcast I like to listen to is the Pivot. And I thought
Yeah,
about it.
it's a good one.
It is a very good one. It's a very good one. I really enjoyed listening to those guys, and it was good to kind of see them. I hated to see them split apart from Brandon Marshall and
Hmm.
his crew, but things happen. But I thought
Right,
about the simple word of just pivot. I was like, man, who would think of that pivot? So I said, I'm gonna roll with what I
right.
have, add some creativity into the name that I have. So I think that's very, very important with that. So, Coach, our topic today is going to discuss the importance of individual skill work for our youth, but also even those a little bit older that may fall outside of the realm of being quote unquote youth. And so, I just want to talk to you about that, kind of get some insight about it, because I know especially as being one who does, I want to say a trainer, but one who's a skill development guy.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can get a bad rap because sometimes people say, "Oh, they ain't teaching y'all nothing. They doing this and
Hmm.
this." There's a lot of negativity. So I'm glad I have you on because this podcast is about positivity, but it's also enlightening our fans and also coaches as well and players about what's really, really going on. So, I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, but I know it had to be something else that you may have saw that wanted you that you wanted to be able to help say, I'm gonna help these kids or I'm gonna help this guy or this young lady become a better individual. So why was skill development so important to you as a player? Because it had to be important to you as a player, especially talking
Hmm.
about some of the things you did at Blue Mountain. But why do you think it's important as as an adult for those young people coming up?
Yes, sir. And I kind of skipped over that throughout the when I was kind of trying to explain SB Fitness because we hang our hat on three things. Number
Okay.
one is the apparel that you've seen the players and everybody wear throughout the game. The apparel to make our guys feel good, but at the same time, we helping these schools save money so they can get other gear with other brands as well. Number
Mhm.
two is that skill development. Like we have 14 trainers around the country that will come in and help your guys or your team or your ladies develop in their skill when it comes to ball handling. To be honest, defense, rebounding, shot making, cutting without the basketball, and to be honest, the most important thing, communication. And then the third thing that we have is our nonprofit. Nonprofits where our different vendors and our different donors where can click on our website to see what our nonprofit is looking towards at that time. Like right now, we're trying to give scholarships to these basketball players and these basketball women, and education wise to where we can kind of help these kids get into college. So right now, we're just taking funding from everybody. Like I think our last contribution was from Bank Plus. They helped out a lot to where we can try to pick out a student or two who can help fund those people. But with skill development, man, like I take pride in that stuff. Because people don't know my first ever clients when it came to training and skill development were pros. So
Mhm.
everybody else under that is like trying to become a pro or an amateur. So we had
Yep.
those middle school kids and those high school kids and some of the college kids are being pro. So now, to be honest, coach, it's hard for me to go to a high school and I can't and I see a student that doesn't know how to jump stop, or I see
Mm.
a kid that doesn't know how to box out. So to be coach, I didn't lost clients because my first 5 sessions with a client, my first five, it's just going over the
Mhm.
basics. It's just
Yeah.
how to look up while you dribble, or to how to just box out, or how to talk back to your coach. Because sometimes you got to receive it and give back to your coach as well. Cause I feel like it has to
You
be a
do.
two-way street when kind of communication with your players.
It really
And to
does.
be honest, the ball handling part and the shot maker, like I lose clients because I'm not the guy that's trying to show the kid 100 moves and then get to the rack and finish with the jelly or whatever kids want to say. Like I'm the most basic trainer it is. Like I love the basics. I think it all starts with a great foundation. If you look at all the great players of all time, the Kareems, the Magics, the Birds, the Jordans, the Kobe's, the LeBrons, they all had that foundation with their footwork, and they all had that foundation with the defense, and they all have a foundation with kind of leadership. And but yeah, I take pride in that more than I take a pride in my apparel. I take pride with more than that I do with my foundation because I think it's lacking. I think a lot of guys just stop playing basketball, and then when they stop playing because of injury, they try to come up with a B plan, and their B plan is to become a trainer. It's like, well,
Hmm.
you kind of throwing shade on us because what about the guys that watch film on these
Yep.
kids for hundreds of hours? That when I come in, I'm trying to affect the team. I'm not trying to affect that one player. I'm trying to see what that one player can do for that team to make that team better. Um, So I'm not gonna be naive and act like I'm keeping all my clients because I'll either stop working with their client because they want to pay because they were selfish, or two, um, that client has left me because I'm going over the basics and I'm too basic for today's game. If that makes sense. But I'm keeping all of my pros, but I'm losing all of my high school kids. So you tell me what's right, what's wrong.
Coach,
So
people don't realize that simplicity is sometimes the best thing about it. And you said it right. I can go back. I was listening to Kenny Smith talk about how Michael Jordan spent a summer developing his ball handling skills and becoming a better
mhm.
shooter. And I guarantee he wasn't doing a lot of those fancy different things, because if you just look if you just look at his game was basic. It was very detailed, and it was tactical how he did it. And so those are the things that kids don't see. And I can see that, coach, that kids can say, man, why you got me doing? I want to be able to do all this other stuff so I get some oohs and some ahs. And man, that's amazing to be able to see that. And that's amazing that your honesty to let people know, like, this is who I am, this is what I represent. And and like in life, everybody's not gonna always mesh together. And so that's good that you are holding kids accountable. And you said something that I didn't even realize, which makes good sense. I'm trying to make you better, but not necessarily you better. How can I make your entire team better? Because at the end of the day, we are only going to go as far as the team goes, and that's where team success goes. Because you can put up as many points as you want, coach, but if you're not down at that Coliseum, or you're not down there where it really, really matters, coach is going to look at those guys first and then come back to you. Because you can always find a guy that can score. That's not going to be hard, but it's finding the guys who can do it the right way and be a consistent scorer.
Man,
So I like
and
that,
coach, not to
coach.
and coach, not to cut you off, but who predicted Nova's ranking to win 6A boys this year?
Man, who
I
you telling,
I didn't.
coach?
I didn't. I had
Mm,
Alma Mater, I had Tupelo, I had Horn
yeah.
Lake, I had who else I'm missing? Who else I'm missing? Biloxi.
I was saying with
Um,
Lexi up.
but it's like Noah's. But if you watch Noah's rank and play, they never turn the ball over. They
Yep.
make their free throws. They had one guy that probably scored double figures, and everybody just kind of followed suit after that. But like, I love the way they play. It was just fundamental basketball, and they worry about is how to get the win. We going to win 2-0 or win 100-98. It doesn't matter. That's why I really love the way that they played, and they showed it this whole summer. They didn't shock me. They shot by winning the whole thing to me, but they didn't shock me how the result ended because how they started off this summer.
Man, coach, you took the words right out of my mouth. I talked to Coach Lucky because we were actually in Yazoo City, and his team played before us. And I'm sitting back. I'm like you, because I'm looking at, because Northwest Rankin is not known for basketball. They had good
Mm-hmm.
teams here and there, but not necessarily one of the names you would call. And I said, Coach, what do you got your guys doing? Like, man, I said they responding well. Because if you know Coach Lucky, he's super super chill. So man, he
Mm-hmm.
just sit at that time. He's sitting back, but his guys are doing everything right from A to Z. So I'm like you, Coach. I wasn't surprised that they won, but surprised at the way that they got it done. Because
Right.
I felt like there was a solid team, but like you said, there were a lot of other teams that people said that were better. Like you said, those two guards on the coast in Biloxi, man,
Mm-hmm.
they were a tandem. You talking about a tandem in the NBA? They were pretty good. So shout out to Coach Luckett. But I agree, Coach. The basic things, and they got it done for him. It wasn't nothing flashy. It was straight. Put my as they say, put my hat on, go to work,
Right.
and they got it. They got it done.
Those are the ones that you like to coach. Those are the teams that you like to coach.
Yeah.
When you show up every day, you're gonna give everybody effort. You might not make the most shots. You might not have the highest jumpers or the fastest runners, but you got guys that's gonna play hard and work hard every single day. So that's the kind of training I put myself in. I put myself in the lowest ranking, the underdog type of trainer that's respected. And that's more important to me than just being, the glitz and the glamour and the 30-second highlight tapes they like to put on Instagram. So
Yeah, oh yeah, Coach. They say in this generation you ain't no hoop unless you got you a highlight on Instagram.
yeah, I never seen a missed shot on the highlight. Never seen it.
So, Coach, with that being said, you said something key, which kind of ties in what we just talked about at Noah's ranking. How do you decide what a player needs to work on? I know you said you watch a lot of film, but kind of go
Mhm.
in detail. Like, how do you decide that? Like, am I going to pinpoint this with this guy, or is it a collection of things? How do you say this is what I'm going to work on with this particular kid?
And that's crazy you asked that because I started training almost 10 years ago, about 8, 9 years ago. So the way I trained 8 years ago is not the same way I train today. You do
Yeah.
have to update that iPhone, so to speak, You know what I mean? Like, so I can't be an iPhone 6 in 2023. So, I used to start off with pretty much the stretching and then going
Yeah.
to the basic ball handling when you gotta look up to me and the left hand
Mhm.
and switch it up. Like, no, now you got to keep these kids interested. It's
You
all
do.
about keeping the kids focused the entire time. So I start off with some fun stuff. Like I'll make sure we do some floats and stuff like that. I make sure I do some touches, some stuff like that,
Mhm.
some ball handling to where they have to move on the move or they have to kind of locate me as they passing it, or we're gonna sit down some defense. Like I'm probably the only trainer in the country that starts off with defense. I do defense in my workouts. But the thing about it, man, when I look at a player first, I gotta watch film on them. I tell that kid, look, I can't work out with you unless you send me a workout video that you have already with an old trainer, or you send me some game film. And then I start to work on their weaknesses. Like most of the time, they're a high school kid. Their opposite hand is going to be a little bit weaker, or their jump
Oh,
shot is going to be a little bit flatter, or they have some footwork stuff that they can work on. So that's we always start off with the basics, and then we start building from there. If that kid's a little bit more advanced, like let's just throw a great kid out there in Mississippi, Madison Booker.
mhm.
So I've been watching that. So I start working with her. I think this June, I believe. So I've been looking at her film from last year, and I did not know Madison. She goes left 75% of the time. So our first few skill workouts gonna be going to the right. I feel like she set up for a lot of jump shots this year. So our second workout is gonna be how to work out in the post, how to get in that post, and how to get to the paint. And then the third thing, I think she doesn't slide her feet much on defense. So the third thing is gonna be her reaction time because sometimes you don't go on defense because it's just effort. And so we're gonna
Yeah.
work on some stuff to kind of get that effort and compete with it and put in some workouts with some pros. Like I'm gonna have her working out with pros so she can get that mindset of how players work out. So pretty much, man, once you get that player broken down with that film, it's gonna tell it. That film is not gonna lie, especially the game film.
Man, that's amazing. It's funny you said Madison Booker. My brother works at Germantown, so he kind of always keeps me, in on the loop about what's going on in Germantown. But I told him if Madison continued to play the way she's been playing those last few games, I said it's gonna be tough. And I know you're a Tupelo guy, but I said it's gonna be tough for Tupelo to do anything with Madison because she was playing at a different level. I seen her be more aggressive. I seen her be more focused and I see her not get distracted by anything outside of the game of basketball. So I was very, very happy to see her because I know she's been trying to get there since she's been playing varsity eighth grade. So
Man,
it was amazing to be able to see Madison get that. And of course, Coach Glasgow's, I worked with them when I was at Germantown. That was maybe about that was 2016 of my last year at Germantown. So they're great coaches as well. Coach, your motto, and I got it in my phone, Coach, and I hope it's the right motto. I usually don't use my
mhm.
phone during the interview, but I want to let you know, man, I'm checking you out.
Yes, sir.
Um, I'm looking at this, and it talked about some great things. I saw your flyer, but Coach, I'm gonna let you talk to me about the motto. I got your flyer here. SB Fitness presents basketball skill development. You got your ages on there. You got your weekly sessions on there. But Coach,
Mhm.
talk to us about your motto because your motto really jumped out into me, and I was gonna say it, but I don't want to steal your shine, Coach. Talk to us about that great
real,
motto that you have.
real work, real results.
There
So
it
you
is.
hear, man, we've been hearing since we were kids, man. What it means is you get out what you put into it. You can't
Mhm.
expect to be a millionaire. You sitting on your tail the whole day. You can't expect to be a great coach if you haven't broke down your player by player, team by team.
Mhm.
And that's what it was another way, a creative way for me to say, you get out what you put into it. I just got tired of hearing you get out what you put into it. So
Mhm.
I just feel like the work that you put in, you're gonna get the result that you want. Um, right now, right now it's a great time to get fit for a lot of people. And all we do it now, we're just looking TV and we look on Instagram and we're double tapping like, man, I want that body, I want that body, I want that body. But what kind of work you put in to get that result?
That's real.
So it was just another way just to say you get out what you put into it. And when we stand by, man, that's the only thing that keeps me going. I gotta see it, and I gotta render my mirror back at the house. That hashtag real work, real results.
Man, I like it. Real work, real results. So let's talk about the result side of it, Coach. What is your timeline for a particular athlete? I know it's going to vary, but just in
Mhm.
general, what's your timeline to be able to see those results?
Man, I'll give you a great example. So my nephew is one of the kids that plays at Tupelo High School, the 6'7" kid, Gavin Shannon.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, Gavin only been playing basketball for 4 years, like real basketball for 4 years. And that kid he was 6'5" then, but he still couldn't dunk because he never been taught to put in the work. And to be honest, he didn't come from an athletic background. but this kid dedicated himself. I'll say that I still have the video. On day one, he was barely touching the rim, right?
Right.
Week two, he was grabbing the rim with both hands. Week three, he was kind of dunking it, like grazing the rim with one hand. And then week four, he's back scratching it and doing the back dunks and throwing out backboard, allowing himself to him. So like you said, it just varies to every player, man. Like
Yeah.
if let's say a shooter in the NBA, like right now, Russell Westbrook, I'll use
Mm-hmm.
that for example. And right now he's been struggling on the shooting end. Like he's shooting like 24% from three, which is crazy for a pro.
It is.
Um, but let's say he hired a great trainer like Lethal Shooter. I think
Mm-hmm.
Lethal Shooter can get that percentage up to 30-some% within weeks just because he would just focus on shooting. He's
Yep.
not going to a coach that's focusing on film breakdown, ball handling, team strategy, leadership. He's going on the trainer just to shoot. That result is going to show instantly on the court because that's what he's been focusing on. It's all about your focus.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
but yeah, it just depends what the focus was. Like Gavin increased his jumping because he focused on jumping. He didn't focus on
Yep.
jumping, ball handling, shooting. Like he didn't try to work on 10 different things. He tried to focus on one thing. Um, and I was talking to a great friend about that the other day. I was like, man, you're so talented in 13, 14, 15 different things. Like you can write, you can read, you can teach, you can speak, you can do all this stuff, but your business will never be great unless you focus on that one thing that the business is flourishing in. And that's kind of how I treat my athletes when it comes to getting a result.
That's amazing. I didn't know. Of course, I always saw you post Gavin, but I didn't realize the connection there. So that makes a big difference, and it's a good to be able to see him. I saw Gavin play one time live. It was this summer. Coach Bruce Robinson had a little, I guess, summer league games at Jackson Prep, and I was able to see him play that
Mm,
summer. So that was a good time. Now, with that being said, Coach, you talked about the results, and results vary, but I know this one is going to be kind of more solid. What does success look like for you?
man, I love this. I don't know what coach said this, man, or what movie said it, but I just think success is getting 1% better the next day.
Yep.
That's success. If you didn't have a job one day and you get a job interview that next
Yeah,
day, not the job, but the job interview the next day, you became successful. That's a successful day.
it is.
If you was to get that job and the next during the interview, that's success. So we all have different levels of success, man. I think today's society is so pinpoint on that social media, man. Social media will mess you up because you'll
Yeah.
see what somebody else got and now you feel like you should have it or you don't have enough of it. It's like, no, you have to appreciate what you got. And man, I feel like I'm successful, coach. I feel like you're successful because every day we try and get that 1% better. You
Yep.
never try to you didn't have to come up with a podcast, but you want to challenge yourself to come up with a podcast which makes you 1% better.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this is a successful podcast. Of course, the end goal is to end up like a pivot or
Yep.
I'm
That's real.
athlete or the Breakfast Club. But you have a successful podcast because the steps that you're taking towards to become the end goal or to get the end result.
Man, that is true, man. And I appreciate you saying that. It means a lot. And when you were talking, I was thinking about that because as you know, anything you do is not easy. But again, I thought about your motto, you know what I'm saying? Real work, real results, but you got to be able to do it. And I just feel like, and I told myself that I said, I know right now, because at one time I got caught in, let me look, I'm looking at the analytics with YouTube, man.
Mm-hmm.
What is this happening? What is this happening? But then the Lord hit me. He said, man, you're doing the same thing you tell those kids to do. You out there cloud chasing, or you out there looking at your likes. But just do what do what you feel in your heart, do what you aspire to do, and you're gonna enjoy it. And since I've been doing that, coach, I enjoy it because I developed so many relationships just doing this. So I just thank you for that confirmation with just saying that because it means a lot. And I'm just trying to continue to establish myself in the coaching world. You know, coaching is my number one passion, but I just enjoy
Right,
being around people.
man. And same
And
here, coach. I mean, you got to think just like you want to be the biggest podcast and the best coach. Of
mm-hmm.
course, the goal here for me is not to just be where I'm at. I'm trying to become the next Nike or Under
Yep.
Armour or Adidas. So I feel like I'm still successful. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I've already told myself that. So no matter what everybody else is telling me, it doesn't really matter because I've already have in my head what I become and what I'm going to be in the future.
Yeah. And Coach, that's power. It's funny you said that because I know it got to be cool to see other people with your gear on. But when I saw Callaway, of course, I'm from Jackson. I'm a Murrah guy, so Callaway is a rival. But when I saw Callaway, I said, look at that, man. Callaway girls playing in the state championship game, and look what kind of gear they got on. So I said they
Man,
gotta they,
coach.
they gotta be amazing.
Coach, I'm not gonna lie to you. That one hit me. That one hit me because Callaway, Coach Ashley, she reached out to me, and she became. Now we have over 50% of schools in Mississippi that's wearing the SB brand.
Mhm.
Coach, I've only been selling to schools in Mississippi for 3 years. So when I seen that picture, so Talante Weber, the guy who runs the Southern Sports Platform, who does a
Uh-huh.
great job with that, he the
He
one that sent me
does.
the picture. And when I saw that picture, man, I was shocked. The first thing I texted, I stayed on the phone. The first thing I texted him was, "Where did they buy that from?" Like, cause I forgot I even sold it to him. I'm like, "Is somebody stealing my brand?" 'Cause I thought he was like, I thought he was telling me that somebody else stole my brand and then gave it to him. But then I went
Yeah.
back to my text messages. She was one of the people, but throughout that time, I probably sold some of the uniforms. I forgot Callaway was even in the mix. And
Mhm.
when I saw that, man, like I said, it's crazy. It's crazy. The support that, to be honest,
Mhm.
coach, the support of my own. When I got that
Mhm.
support from them African American coaches, man, like it hit
Yes,
home
sir.
so different, so much different, man. My first ever coach, my first ever sale was Coach Derek Moore in Kahoma County. And ever
Man.
since then, it's
Yeah.
just been flooding. It's just been coming after that with African American coaches.
Man, that's what's up, man. Coach Moore, a good guy, man. A couple of years ago, Kahoma is king. So at Pisgah, man, at Pisgah, we had never been a strong basketball culture, but that year, man, we were rolling. Kahoma came down to Pisgah. Man, they
Man,
came in, they got the security in, they got the music. Coach Moore he got his Scully on. And
always,
man,
always.
and man, everybody thinking like, hey man, I don't know if y'all can beat them. Man, Shane, we jump on them. We take a lead. We up by 17 at halftime. And coach, we playing good basketball. And of course, Coach Moore, you could tell he was chill. He came out the second half. He slowly walked us down. They beat us with the last shot, maybe with like 3 seconds left in the game. And
Mm,
man, coach, that still hurt to this day. I look back as a coach, you look back at it, what you could have done well. But I text coach the next day. I said, championship teams make championship plays, and that
mm,
loss still bothers me. So I said, one day when I get a team, I got to go back at Coach Moore. But he really showed that championship culture make a team. I mean, coach, he walked us down from 17, and my guy, it was a big moment for us to even to be
hmm.
up by 17. Pisgah being up by 17 Oklahoma was a major thing. And the moment got a little too big for my guys. It maybe got big for me too. I don't
Right,
mind
right,
saying it.
right.
But it was just cool to be in that game. So shout out to Coach Moore, man.
Man, look, I tell people all the time, man. I rather for you beat me by 50 than beat me by the
Yeah.
last second shot.
Yes,
Man,
coach.
you never forget those, never.
Man, it hurt so bad, coach. Man, one of my kids made a crucial mistake. He reached for the ball, boy went behind his back, drove it, shot it off the
Mm,
glass, left us with like 3 seconds left. Of
mm,
course, but it's what it is, though, man. But I thought about this too when you were talking. This, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. How do you find a way to build a relationship, maybe with the coaches of the kids or the professionals that you're working with? Because obviously, there's going to be a natural why you're working with that guy or why you're working with that young
right,
lady.
right.
How do you find a way to make that work together so it's a working
Man,
relationship instead of me versus you or you versus them? How do you make that work, coach?
man, coach, I'm not gonna lie to you. The worst thing I did at the beginning when I started my business was assume.
Yeah.
Because I was fresh off of being an All American in college. I was a all-time in school. I was well known in the North Mississippi area. I
Mhm.
assumed that every coach is just gonna gravitate towards me when I made that post on Facebook saying that I'm gonna start a sports brand. That was not the case. I had to recreate all those relationships, recreate all those
Mhm.
relationships. But man, one thing I give coaches, I give them the real. So
Mhm.
from the beginning, if you meet me in person, that's what you meet on the phone. That's what you meet on Zoom call. That's what you meet during meetings. That's what you meet in those big time corporate meetings. I'm the same
Mhm.
person from 9 to 5. So
Mhm.
that's how I got so many coaches so quick because my first encounter with Coach Moore, I walked in the gym and some of the players was playing basketball and they were doing like one on ones. I had like all white Air Force Ones on, and I went to go beat every kid one on one. And then Coach Moore was like, "Man, what you doing up here, man?" I was like, "Man, look, I'm Shane Butler. I sell uniforms." And I did. Now, when I first started, I did pull some feathers a little bit because a lot of those schools were going to BSN, and a lot of
You
those
are.
schools was Nike schools, and a lot of those schools were
Mhm.
Adidas schools. So when I first started, it was hard to convert them from that brand to my brand. But when I put those numbers up saying I'm gonna save this much money to where you can get new ball racks or a gun or send your kids to camp or have money to send guys overseas, I mean not overseas, but on bus rides for different type of events, man, I
Mhm.
saved some of these schools money when I got Coleman County, Coleman County gonna end up in Jackson every year. So
Every year.
when they went to Jackson, I ended up getting 4 more teams up there. Once I got those 4 teams, I got other teams. When I got um, that team, I got Tupelo, which is my old high school. And then the
Yeah.
biggest break from that was pretty much I built all my relationships from that All Star game from last year.
Yep.
And when I went to the All Star game, every team, every school, every coach was there to where I was just shaking hands. And the number one question I was getting like, "Oh, you a young black dude?" Like I thought it was an old man, an old white guy that was running this brand like a PSN. It's like,
Yep.
nah, man, I'm fresh out. I'm fresh out of college, and
Mhm.
I'm fresh trying to get this thing started. So once they saw the face with the name, the support just continued to come that way.
Yeah, man, you couldn't help but miss you, man. As soon as you open that door at Mississippi College, man, boom, you was right there. And coach, that's good
Right.
marketing, man. That's good marketing. The first thing you see when you open the door, obviously you're gonna look at the ticket you got to your left, man. Your stuff right there. I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great. Just marketing team, just a marketing team value that you had. You had somebody was at the table was working real hard for you too, coach. They was faithful to
Angelique,
it.
man,
Yeah, yeah, man. They was.
Angelique, she runs my gym. So we have a gym
Mhm.
in New Albany, and she runs
Yeah,
the whole gym by herself. And
for real.
you talking about sales? That girl can sell anything. I'm telling you, she can sell anything. So I knew when y'all walked in, you was gonna buy
Yeah.
something from Angelique. I already knew that. So
Yeah, she had it set up, coach. You almost felt like you had to buy something. Um, so, Coach, talk to us now. Before we kind of get into some more questions, I know I'm not gonna hold you too long. I got a few more questions, but I want to talk a little bit more about your training sessions. You talked about it a little bit, but maybe you can dive back into it. If we go to one of your training sessions, if I drive up and I
mhm.
sit there and watch you, what am I going to what am I going to see? What makes it unique? And what's going to make me want to come back to be able to see you again train somebody. So again, what am I going to see skill wise? What makes it super unique? And then
Mhm.
what am I going to see to say, hey man, I got to come back and see this?
So to be honest, coach, I think today's basketball is positionless.
Yep.
So when you come into a session, you're gonna be seeing the big man doing guard skills. You're gonna be seeing the
Mm-hmm.
guard skills. You're gonna be seeing all the guards doing big post moves.
Yep.
So the first thing when you walk in, you're gonna see a vibe. You're gonna walk in. Look, I might be bumping that little baby that just came out. I might
Yeah.
be bumping that Marvin Gaye from the '80s. So you're gonna see the vibe where I sit up, man, to where my players are gonna see. And I get a lot of flack from it too. But you'd be surprised how much these kids know that Marvin Gaye
Yes,
than
yes,
that little baby too.
yeah.
So when you come in, you're gonna see a vibe. Number two, you're gonna see how real that I give it to the kids. Like I'm coaching
Mm-hmm.
these kids like they pros already. So
Yep.
of course you're not gonna hear the cleanest words coming out of my mouth, but I feel like they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be hearing that at the next level as well. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
testing the kids, and then what I bring to anything, every coach has a strength, every coach has a
Yep.
weakness, every player
Mm-hmm.
has a strength, every player has a weakness. Training is the same way. I think my biggest strength is the confidence. I think if a kid's going through a slump that he couldn't make a shot for the last 3 games, I'm the guy they need to come to get their confidence back. So it could be anything. It could be a guy turning the ball over. So now we breaking down film to where you just have to do the simple stuff to kind of not make a turnover. It could be a guy that has to change his footwork on the shot to kind of get that shot to go all net instead of hitting the backboard or the rim every time. So I'm building the confidence. That's my number one strength, is that confidence building. So we make sure every time they miss a shot or make a shot, we make it feel like it's a good miss, or it's a great make. So that's how we pretty much go with every single drill that we do.
Man, it's the positivity part, man. That's amazing because that's the mental part of it. And kids, we say it, but kids got to remember you're not gonna make every single shot that you have. So I like what you said. That's a good miss. That's something rare that you hear. Obviously, we're not telling you to miss it, but what we're saying is there's something that you can learn from it. And I think that's some. I think that's a pretty good advice because these kids they lose it so much mentally sometimes because sometimes they overthink it and sometimes they just get caught up in just the stress of it. So I noticed that I
Man,
peeped it trying to figure that out. I think that's good, coach.
I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know how y'all coach, man. I can't do it. So that's why I love to get the kids one on one, or I get them in a small group. But
Yeah,
coaching these kids, I know y'all go through those headaches because
man,
they think every time they make a mistake, they got to look over to the bench and they can come out the game.
no
It's like,
sir.
no, man, that ain't the thing. Like, I'm just trying to help you become a better player. Mistakes are going to happen. I'm going to make a bad play call at the end of the game to where you should have got a better shot. And you're gonna hurt from that the whole night, but you still got to bounce back the next day. So
You
yeah, I
do.
don't know how y'all do it day to day to where you're dealing with the kids in the classroom, out the classroom. Like coach is one of the hardest jobs because you signing for a duty that comes with way more duties than a sign. So
Yeah.
you ain't just coming for the X and O's. You coming for you're a therapist, you're a parent. The last thing on the list is probably becoming a coach, which is crazy.
Mm. It really is. And that was kind of my thing with creating this podcast is a lot of times coaches, and not just coaches, I kind of noticed this in other careers, officials, principals,
Hmm.
people see you for a very small segment of the day or a very small segment of your life. And they, a lot of times, not everybody, but a lot of times it's such a um, negative outlook towards you, and they don't really know what you go through. And like you said, with coaches, you don't understand what you go through even before you get to the game. Sometimes you got kids that may not have anything to eat at home. Sometimes you got
Hmm.
kids who may be dealing with some type of physical abuse at home, any type of thing. It's so many things that go on. And I tell people all the time, if in this generation, if you can get a group of kids to get on the floor and operate at a high level with all the other things they got going on, that's a win right there. So a lot of times it does get frustrated, but I know it's a part of the job when you just see like fans just go after a coach and you really only know half the battle. Only thing you see me for
Right.
40, 45 minutes to an hour 15 and think you know it all. So this podcast will kind of spotlight individuals like yourself who's doing it, but also we can hear it and we can see it and hopefully kind of change the mindset of how people view just everybody. And I got so much respect for every job because to me it may look easy because I'm on the outside looking in, but you just never really know what they're going through. So I mean, you said some very, very powerful stuff. I got one more thing. I'm gonna get into some more basketball questions. I'm gonna get you
Yes,
out of here,
sir.
Coach. How do you find balance, Coach? Because I'm listening to what you're saying, Coach. You saying a lot. I mean, I'm looking at your training. I'm looking at the time you spend studying the game. I'm looking at the time you spend training. And of course, you haven't talked about eating yet. You ain't talked about sleeping yet, Coach. You ain't talked about spending time
Mhm.
with your family, Coach. How do you find balance in everything that you're doing?
Man, that's the hardest thing. Sometimes I forget that I still don't know if 30 years old is old or young. Like it's still in the middle. So like the hardest
Yeah.
thing for me to catch is like the balance, man. Like
Mhm.
the sleeping part, coach, I'm not gonna lie, that can come anywhere, anytime. I can sleep on a plane, I can sleep in the bed, the couch. It don't matter, man. It don't matter. So I'm more of a napper than it is like sleep because I wake up
That's right.
so early in the morning.
Mm.
Um, but the eating part, man, as long as I get that breakfast in early in the morning, as long as I get dinner at night, I'm straight in between the day.
Mhm.
Um, and but the biggest part for me, man, like I got to get that done with that family. I got to make sure I call my sisters. I got to make sure I call my brothers, my nieces, my nephews. They kind of keep me right. So I can have the worst day in the world, the best day in the world. If they don't hear about it, I don't feel like it's completed anyway. So I know my sister gives like the realest advice when I don't even want to hear the real. I just want support, and she'll come like with the realest advice, saying like, "No, Shane, like get off your tail, get to it. Remember what you moved away for. Don't come back unless you got something good for us." Like, and then I got the little sister that always gives me like I'm like her hero, so I try to become like the hero that she always wants. And then my brother, they just know like, hey Shane, you the one. They always call me the one. Hey, you the one. You the one. So that's probably my biggest balance. And as long as I balance that family in there, everything else is secondary for me. The sleep, the eating, that's secondary. As long as I get that family time.
Man, that's good to hear, Shane. We need more young guys like yourself, just talking like that because it made me think about it made me, I don't want to get too far in it, but it made me think about Ja Morant in Memphis, and I'm thinking about just listening to the things that he has to deal with now, the questions he has to answer, and I really hate it for him, but it's what you said, Coach. At the end of the day, it's his family that matters. And I really
Mm-hmm.
know that he enjoyed being around his friends and things of that nature. But I just know that he gotta move different. He gotta make some better decisions when it comes to that. And I think he has to find a balance between, where he wants to be where he's going and his superstar status. And I really don't think, and I could be wrong, and again, I'm an optimistic, positive person. I really don't think the life that people say he's trying to portray with the guns
Right.
and who he's hanging out, I don't really think that's him. And I hope that's not him, but it's what you said. You got to find somebody that's gonna balance you out, somebody who's gonna tell
Mm-hmm.
you the truth, and somebody who's gonna say, "Hey, you know what? I put you in a bad spot. Hey, we all got to do better." So I'm hoping that situation works out because
Man,
again, the kid got so much talent. Of course,
my,
he's the upcoming star, man. And so hopefully,
right.
this doesn't bring him down.
Coach, man, you know how we man, look, you know how we was in college at the age of 22.
Yep.
Now give us $100 million.
I know,
Um,
right?
and who knows what that becomes. But
Yep.
nah, man, with him, like my mom used to always tell me, man, you are who you surround yourself around.
Yep.
Man, it can be that simple for him. If you want to
Yep.
become a better person, just surround yourself with better people. You want to
That's
become a
real.
positive person, surround yourself with positive people. We see who he's been surrounding himself with. Just change
Mhm.
that. Once you change that, everything else will change around
Yeah, it will. And to be honest, you can tell he's a superstar because some people can make a mistake and they cancel you or they throw you away. But these companies
you. Hmm.
realize that this guy is different. So hopefully he takes this blessing and moves on from it. Coach, talk about this. Now, this is always a discussion, and everybody has this discussion. I'm from Jackson, metro area. We always say that we got the best basketball. We say the people up north, there's different, south is different, the Delta area is different. But those same people say the exact same thing about my area. So, Coach, talk to me about the different styles of basketball that you have seen, because again, you're very familiar with a lot of these guys and ladies everywhere. So, talk about. I know you're gonna say North Mississippi, so we
Nah,
still can
man,
hear that. But what's
I'm
the
a,
best
I'm a,
basketball you see?
nah, man, I'm a historian of the game. Like I
Yeah.
really love this game, man. So I'm a realist too. Historically, Jackson runs basketball in Mississippi. Like we know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody had their run since then. Since 2010, man, it's been
Mhm.
all over the place. From
Yeah, it has.
2010 to 2005, 2015, Jackson.
Yeah.
2015, 2020, the South. Last
Mhm.
3 years, been North Mississippi.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go from Boonville. I can go from
That
Coahoma.
boom
I can
killer.
go from they killing right now at Biggsville.
Hmm.
I could talk about Starkville, how they run. They run three of the last five championships for the boys.
Hmm.
But if you look at the top, I'm not a ranking type of person. But if you
Yeah.
look at the girls that's ranked in the top 10, I mean, seven of them from the north.
Yep.
So and then that underclassmen, man, wait till you see this 10th grade group that's for the boys and the girls from North Mississippi. So I think everybody just has their runs. And I think
Yeah.
it's slowly going back to Jackson though. If you just see it, it's slowly going back to Jackson because they always gonna get those dogs from either from Jackson or right outside of Jackson.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, historically it's Jackson because they got a mixture of both. They got a mixture of the South because the South is more style, more skill. The North is more physical, and
Yeah.
then Jackson right there in the middle. I can get that style and I get that physicality. So, yeah, man, it's Jackson. I mean, I don't think it's because y'all like a smaller Memphis, so
Mhm.
it's like you're gonna always have some talent here and there.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's a fair answer that you gave, Coach. And I've always, of course, I was always, pro Jackson. But when I had opportunity, when we were at Pisgah, we went north, which was weird. We had to go like, 2 hours away to
Right?
play some
It is
games. I
crazy.
had I had an opportunity to be able to see some great North teams at the small level. It's crazy to be able to see the skill
Mhm.
set. Because I know in our district one time, everybody not we was in the district tournament, everybody in our district lost, and everybody who we played, of course, in that the north side of the bracket, man, they beat all of us. So it's just
Mhm.
a different brand of basketball from the lady side as well as the guys side. So it's great. There's good basketball everywhere, and I think that's going to be a debate. But I like what you said. It goes in phases. It really does go in
Right.
phases. And hopefully, like you said in Jackson, like you said, we used to have someone in state championship almost every year for girls or guys. And recently, we had
Mhm.
Callaway was the Callaway girls this year was the only team that we had in the championship game. Provine got their loss in the semis, obviously, but hopefully we can
Right.
kind of get it back to where we were.
Well, Germantown girls is that considered Jackson?
Well, I throw Germantown in there.
Yeah.
I'm a big JPS guys, but I throw Germantown girls in there. Throw a little Madison County in there. So Coach, these are some of my fast break questions, and then I'm gonna get you out.
Mhm.
We're gonna end with talking about what you got going on this weekend with the Mississippi Owl game. But Coach, you get one player to start a franchise with currently in the NBA. Who are you choosing, Coach, and why?
Man, look, you'll never get me to say no other name from when Naismith invented the sport and to the end of the sport. LeBron James.
Yes, yeah,
Can't
yeah.
miss. I can't miss with him.
Yeah, LeBron is he's a guy, man. He's a guy that's different. Of course, I'm a Jordan guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I still like LeBron, man. I don't. We get into the GOAT conversation, but man, I like LeBron. He's an amazing guy. I really wish that situation was better. I saw him. Well, I guess that was last night. He was rolling on he had the rolling scooter, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, man. So not a good, not a good sign for LA. You know, I'm a New Orleans Pelicans fan. You don't see many Pelicans fans, but
Oh
uh,
man.
man, that's
Mm-hmm.
hey, we're gonna get it one day. We can just because
Right.
when you think about it, if you look at the history of all the players we had collectively that were traded, we had a
Mm-hmm.
really good squad, man. I mean, most guys who are playing really high level basketball now at one time played for New Orleans. So
Right.
hopefully
Right.
one day we'll figure it out. So I know you're a big LeBron guy. So I was gonna ask you about this Kobe guy. Of course, Kobe Bryant, but I'm gonna change the question up a little bit.
Okay.
Who are you going with? Are you going with the Miami LeBron, or are
Mm.
you going with the LeBron that came back to Cleveland?
Mm. It was something about that Miami LeBron, man. That dude, his speed was different. His
Yep,
athleticism was different. His
it
shot
was.
was crazy. That dude, he went 40 games straight shooting over 55% from the field. I'm
Man,
taking that. Now, the one thing about that LeBron, he locked up everybody. He guarded 1 through 5 the
yep,
Miami years. And then I think he was more of a dog then. I think he's kind of nice now because he's trying to more of the public. His son about to come to the NBA.
mhm,
He's trying to end his career on a good note to where he won't throw out any scandals at the end. He's more of a
yep,
nice guy now, but that
mhm,
LeBron then was a dog, a straight dog. He didn't care who's in his way. To where he told Dwayne Wade and all the top dog on the team. And I feel like
yep,
that's when he kind of pivot, I guess, he's pivot his career when he started telling Dwayne Wade, like, I got it from here.
yep. You know, excuse me. Yeah, Coach Justin Sanders, my brother from episode one, we often talk about that, and we debate back and forth because I felt like the LeBron in Miami was different than all the rest. But then he say, "Well, think about it. He won MVPs. He won the MVP a number of times before he even got to Miami, and so
Right.
and he pulled up these stats. And when I started looking at his stats from Cleveland the first time, Miami, Cleveland the second time, man, it was kind of close, but I just feel like that Miami LeBron was just different, man.
Bro, this dude's been playing for 20 years. He's
Yep,
literally been in his peak for 20 years. Like,
yep,
he's still in his peak, man. Like, even in his bad year, which is his first year in NBA where he averaged 20 points,
hmm
his year now, year 20, averaging 30 points. I don't know, man.
yep.
I can't explain it. I can't explain it, bro.
Yeah, he's like I say, he's a one of a kind, man. And I just hope people really appreciate. I really hate the hate that he receives, and people just say stuff. But again, that's on another level. But I just really hate the hate that he receives over small things, man. That really has nothing to do with basketball, and I just hate that people can't really appreciate the greatness that he's displaying.
Man.
You can argue old school, new school. You can argue
Hmm.
super team, not super team. You can
Hmm.
argue whatever. But at the end of the day, man, the man has proven himself. So,
It's
coach,
a
with
few
that,
guys.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you get, you get, I was just saying, there's a few guys that changed the NBA throughout the time, man.
Yep.
Curry was one, just starting backwards. Curry was one.
Hmm.
LeBron was the next one to come to super teams.
Yep.
You had your AIs, in my opinion, that made short guards that can kind of be
Mhm.
dynamic as a shooting guard position instead of playing point guard. Uh,
Yep.
I would say Jordan changed the game, but nobody still hasn't been like Jordan since then because
Yep.
he was just so good, bro. Like you can't duplicate that. You can only try to, I guess, emulate that. So I guess he
Yep.
changed the game in that way to where everybody want to be like that one person.
Hmm.
Um, Other than that, man, Magic and Bird. I mean, there ain't too many people that changed the game, man. He's one of the five that did it.
That's true, man. So with that being said, you might have already answered this question. I'm gonna still answer it. Who's your all-time starting five in the NBA then?
Man, point guard, I'm going with Curry.
Okay.
If you go with Magic, I'm going with Curry. You're gonna have to chase Curry around those screens the whole
Yeah,
game. And you're not gonna post up and score more points than Curry. Like they might say Magic gonna post up Curry. He's gonna score 20, 30 points. Curry gonna have that in 3 quarters.
that's true.
My two, of course, MJ. I'm not even gonna debate that.
Yeah.
The three, LeBron, he sees the floor. He can play the point. He can play the forward, play whatever. The four, I'm going with Tim, dog. I'm a Timmy D guy.
Mhm.
So I think Tim Duncan the best scorer of all time. And then the five, I'm going with Kareem. That dude was the all-time leading scorer for 30 some years, and never shot a three. He made one three. Come on, bro. Come on, man.
Man,
Come on, bro. That's crazy.
that is, man. Hey, that's a tough lineup there, coach. It's kind of hard to be able to just say go against that. And I think anybody, most people, whoever you choose, is going to be kind of close. I probably, if you ask anybody that question, who's really being fair about it, they probably gonna have two or three of the same people that you really just
Mhm.
talked about. So I think that's pretty cool as well. So talking about championships, um, not sure if you're a KD guy or not, but do you think Phoenix got enough time to be able to put it all together to win an NBA title this year?
Man, the number one question, like it is with every team, health. If they can stay healthy,
Yep.
they can stay healthy. They got the firepower. I mean, you got Chris Paul that's gonna dish it out to everybody, but we know his
Hmm.
history in the playoffs.
Yep.
He gets hurt every year. It ain't if he can do it, what he can't do. It's just if he can stay healthy to do it.
That's true.
Booker the real deal. He just ready to get back to the finals. I think when they get back to the finals, Booker gonna show why he's the top two shooting guard in the league.
Yep.
KD, man, to me, he's already proven it. He's proven he can be the best player on the best team. Already. DeAndre Ayton at the five, that's crazy. Like that's a really good big man. That's a 7 footer that can play out and inside. He defends very well, can switch on ball screens. I don't who's a four if I'm missing one. Who's a
Uh,
four? KD's playing the three, Boogie's the two, Chris Paul the one.
Boy.
I don't remember who their four is. But I don't know. It's all about depth for them, depth and health. So
Yep.
I don't know if they're deep enough to go for 7 games. That's a lot. That's a lot. You got to have at least 8 players in the NBA
You
to
really
go
do.
7 games. So if they win a series, they better win it in 4 or 5. Because if they
Yeah, they're
go
gonna have
deeper in
to.
the 6 and 7 games, it's gonna be a wrap. It's gonna be a wrap.
Yeah, because be honest, nobody would necessarily admit it, but that's what really happened to Phoenix. When you think about Phoenix played us, New Orleans, and you got to think
Mm-hmm.
about it, we really wore Chris Paul down. And I think that, and I'm not saying that we were the difference maker there, but what I'm saying is for him to be able to have to play, and we were picking him up full court, we were switching
Yes,
defenders on him,
every
and that
time.
was a lot. That was a lot for him. And like you said, it would have been easier for them to get that series over earlier, but to be able to have a dog fight with us in New Orleans and then have to continue on, I
Bro.
think that really, really made a big, big
Y'all deep,
difference.
dog. Y'all top three deepest team in the NBA when y'all healthy.
Yep.
Deep. I'm talking about like from top to bottom. Y'all got at least 10 y'all can play at any time. So
Yep.
yeah, that's gonna be a hard out for anybody.
Yeah, and it's scary because when you look at our team, you got a lot of guys that don't mind playing on the defensive side of the ball. You got CJ McCollum, he gonna get his buckets. We got BI can do his thing. So we got so many intangibles.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite players, of course, I like Zion, but man, you look at the kid Jones, man, that went from Alabama. You think about his long arms, his
Mm-hmm.
length, and his
Mm-hmm.
jump shot is getting better. And
Mm-hmm.
once he get it nice, man, it's gonna be dangerous to be able to see. Coach, I got a couple more questions, but I really want to let people know about stuff that you got going on with the Mississippi Association for Coaches. As I said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, Coach again, he is growing, he's growing, he's growing. He got some great things going on. So I want to talk a little bit more about kind of some things that he's going to be promoting these next two weekends, actually, with the Mississippi Alabama game, and of course with the All Star game coming up the following week with our rising seniors. So, Coach, just talk to us a little bit about, anything that you kind of want to be able to share with our audience, because it's amazing. Hopefully, after this interview, I'm gonna be able to post some things on my Instagram. I'll be able to
Mm-hmm.
tag and we better see more things. But just kind of talk to us about just what you're doing these next two weekends.
Man, these 2 weekends, man. Look, I love what I do, but these two
Yeah.
weekends will take it out of you, man. I'm telling you, I work these next 2 weekends. But the first one that's in down in Alabama, I take it more of a step back. I do way more for Mississippi Alabama game once it's in
Mhm.
Mississippi because we're the host and I kind
Yes,
of can
sir.
take over. But for us taking the back seat and Alabama's the host, the
Mhm.
pretty much what I can do with them, I can promote my brand. I can put on every single uniform. You're gonna see the SB on the uniforms. You'll see it on the backpacks. You see it on the travel gear, the coaching shirts. We gave them stickers. We got wristbands. We don't have highlight text for the kids. So you'll see the SB Fitness brand that aspect. You won't be seeing it on the decals like you've seen on the big screen that was in the
Yeah.
Coliseum or on the decal that's on the court, whatever. But we have done it enough to where we're convincing Alabama the next few years to where they can jump on board as well.
Yes,
So
sir.
we have Mississippi, and now we're going to have that conversation with Alabama to where they're going to jump on board as well. So they can kind of take over both states. So
Mm-hmm.
you see the SB logo in that aspect. The following week for the Junior All Star Game, oh, you're going to see
Mm-hmm.
SB Fitness everywhere. I'm trying to
Yeah.
have that thing at the concession stand, inside the bathrooms. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
see it on the screens, on the big screen, the court decals. We're going to be selling the T-shirts. We'll be selling hats. We'll be selling socks. We'll be selling backpacks, letterman jackets, bomber jackets, tank tops,
Mm-hmm.
arm sleeves, headbands. So, man, anybody, man, who comes to the game, please come and support. Please see what we're doing. You can catch Angelique Ratliff that's working the table, Mr. Johnny Mims that's kind of working the Mississippi Coaches Association. Myself, I'll be walking around just back and forth. Look, do not be scared to stop me. I'm going to stop, and I'm probably going to stop you first and have a full conversation with you. Like, I don't believe in
Mm-hmm.
hey and bye. I believe in hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
How's your family doing? Let's have a full conversation, get to know me a little bit, get to know you a little bit, and anywhere I can help you, just like you support me, I can support you as well. So you'll be seeing us everywhere that following week of the 18th.
Man, that's true, Coach. I saw you last year again. Of course, I just saw you from a distance. Man, you were moving back and forth. You was from that scores table to the lobby, man. You were everywhere, Coach. And I don't know how I could keep up with you. I think you had a red. You might have had a red sweatsuit on or something.
Yeah,
You had
yeah,
some
man. I
red on.
pulled up like Suge Knight, man.
Yeah, you did, man. So, but Coach, you were working, man. But to be honest, though, Coach, as I've been doing more business, just seeing you out there and seeing you on social media, that really said I penciled it in my phone. I said I'm gonna probably get this guy a call. I didn't know you. I saw what you was doing, just looking it from the sideline. Justin and I, we were sitting in the game watching it. We liked the design that you had. We kind of took it back to us All Star old school with the NBA kind of little
Yes,
feel
sir. Yes,
to it.
sir. You
I
caught
thought
on,
that
man. You caught on.
yeah, man, like you said, and I thought that was cool, and that really kind of drew me to be able to reach out to you this past season. So, man, that's great thing. Do great things, man. I like the Letterman jacket that I saw that you had. I think that's gonna be cool, Coach. I'm definitely gonna get something, man, just to be able to support
Yes,
you,
sir.
man, and just kind of advertise it, Coach. As we wrap up, man, this was a great interview, Coach, and I just love having you on. But before I let you go, I always give my guests an opportunity to be able to kind of close the show. So, Coach, anything that you kind of want to talk about, discuss as we kind of wrap up with this great interview?
Yes, sir. You can definitely catch SB Fitness brand on Instagram, on SB Fitness LLC, Twitter, SB Fit LLC, website, sbfitnessllc.com. Where you can kind of check out our gear. You can check out what plans that we have with our summer league. We have an adult men's and women's summer league that'll be hosted for high school kids and adults at Northeast Community College during the month of June. We have our nonprofit that throughout the whole year, we're always trying to take in contributions so we can make a difference in the community, whether it's in Mississippi or overseas. Last 5 years has been mostly overseas in Uganda, Africa, to where we send them jackets, we send them money, we send them scholarships, we send them just different things so they can kind of help out the country and the continent of Uganda, Africa. So yeah, man, but like you can definitely catch me on any social media. If you have any questions about that, just Google SB Fitness. First thing will pop up is the website. So we're definitely getting bigger and better. We can't do nothing without our support. Like I said, we support back. If you have a business, email us what your business is, and we can definitely make a contribution to that as well. Because we believe that's how the world evolves. Whatever you put out there, whatever you see back. And yes, sir. Man, I appreciate everything you've done.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I really like it, Coach. You reaping what you sow, Coach. We're gonna claim it into existence, man. That your brand is gonna continue to grow and be very, very successful. I thank you for this opportunity once again, fans. I thank you for coming out to just listen to what we have going on. Again, we want to just continue to produce great content. Excited about each guest that we bring on, and we couldn't do it without you. We're just supporting us. So as always, please share, please like, and please subscribe. Also, too, if you can, please get out this weekend to the Mississippi Alabama game. Please get out next weekend for our All Star game, celebrating these kids. They need it from their juniors now, but of course they're rising seniors. Of course, you got to support Shane. Trust me, you're not gonna miss him. Support him in all that he does, and we will definitely see you next time. So until next time, be nice, be kind to someone, just be a blessing, and we'll talk to you all next time.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.